on his way. Devil is on his way. Devil is on his way, motherfucker. The devil gonna make you pay. Fall to your knees. Devil is on his way. Fall to your knees. Devil gonna make you pay. Fall to your knees. Devil is on his way.
Mountain Murders is an Appalachian true crime podcast. Some content may not be suitable for all listeners. Listener discretion is advised.
We say fuck a lot. Hey, y'all. Welcome back to Mountain Murders. I'm Heather.
And I'm Dylan.
Who are you trying to convince?
I'm pretty sure I'm Dylan.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, how are you, Heather?
I'm hanging in there.
Oh, poor little thing's worked so hard lately. She's got multiple stories in the can, and it's so tough for us to get sat down to record because of me. I'm stuck in the mill, fencing on the side. But here we are. It's late at night. But she has an incredible story for us. I just know she does.
And I have my coffee.
And she had coffee. I had to bribe her with coffee.
That I'm drinking at 10:30 p.m. But you know what, Dylan? My ADD and shit, like, I can drink this coffee and go right to bed.
Caffeine does not affect me at all.
It doesn't really bother me.
I can drink 3 monsters
now
and
I'll
go to sleep.
get up in the morning and, like, take my daughter to school and have a cup of coffee. And then I'll come back to bed with you and, like, just be reading a news article. And the next thing I know, I've slept for, like, 2 hours.
Now, is that a strawberry wafer right there by your coffee?
Yeah.
Those are so good.
It's like the Vortman's Bakery strawberry wafer cookies.
When I was a little kid, those little packs of wafers, it wasn't the rich people one like you get.
Are you talking about the ones that were like very pink?
They're either strawberry, pink, or chocolate, or vanilla.
See, this is a strawberry, but it's not pink.
And, well, these would be all up in the dollar store.
Well, yeah, I know which ones you're talking about. Those are the ones that I grew up eating as well.
Those are good. Enough about wafers.
Okay. Are you ready for some podcasting, Dylan?
She would not tell me a thing about this one, so I've got to listen.
Well, I've told you about this case, but you don't listen, so it'll be new to you. Because I can tell you something, and an hour later, you totally don't remember at all what I said.
I'm like a goldfish.
You're just a man.
But I'm going to pay...
It's called selective listening.
Very close attention from the beginning, so I know what the hell's going on.
You say that, but about 2 paragraphs in, you're going to make an assumption or say something that's totally incorrect, and I'm going to have to go back and tell you what happened.
And I think that's...
Just like on the last episode.
Yeah, I know. That's part of the magic, though.
It's not part of the magic.
Let's go, Heather.
I don't know who it's magical for, Dylan. It's not magical for me.
Lay it on me, baby.
Wellesley, Massachusetts. Which, by the way, I get really tickled because I have several members of my family that cannot pronounce Massachusetts.
People say very different things for Massachusetts.
My mom always calls it Massachusetts.
Okay.
Yeah, and my daughter says some very strange word that is not exactly Massachusetts.
Massachusetts.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Oh, that's funny.
I think Bella might say Massachusetts or something. Like she says Masta.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I have to correct her. It's pretty adorable. So if you're one of those folks that cannot pronounce Massachusetts,
you're in good company.
I like raise my flag to you.
I feel like you'd have to go get a Massachusetts checked out by a doctor.
You think so?
Yeah, maybe.
So Wellsley, Mass. is an affluent bedroom community located about 30 miles west of Boston. It is a town where doctors, lawyers, entertainers, CEOs, and politicians live and raise families. It's the kind of place that offers proximity to the big city while still maintaining small town vibes.
Oh, wow. For rich people.
For rich people. Isn't that what everybody wants?
Yeah. I'm sure their small town vibes are
I'd like to be a rich person, but I just mean like you want the big city, but also a little bit of the small town feel.
You know, I'm happy with my lot in life. I'm comfortable. We're comfortable. We have multiple things going on. And I just don't... We watched Succession last night, right? A big episode. We'll talk about that some other time. But really rich people seem to truly always be worried about losing their money and their power. You know what I mean? It's very strange.
Yeah, like why aren't they just enjoying themselves? Like some fucking jet skis? Some of those jet packs?
They don't do anything.
Just out on the lake, like living La Vida Loca?
Sleeping in?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
Just like buy some chickens and goats and like hang out?
I'll never have to worry about being a billionaire.
Well, we always have the podcast, Dylan.
I'm 100-aire.
The podcast is making you 100-aire.
It's true.
Okay, so back to our conversation about Wellsley. it's also home to 3 colleges, including Wellsley College, alma mater of former First Lady, and probably the best serial killer of all time, Hillary Clinton.
Yeah. Yeah.
You go, girl.
Yeah, the body count's like 10,000 or something, right?
Go for
According to some people.
Good for her. Good for her.
That's not.
Babson College and Massachusetts Bay Community College. It is known for an excellent school system and a low crime rate. Up until the 1990s, there had not been a murder in Wellsley.
Up until 1990?
Yeah, up until the 90s.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not ever.
No.
Wow. That's crazy.
Not in recorded history of the town.
That's pretty amazing.
Now, Dirk Greineder was born October 19th, 1940 in Berlin, Germany to parents Kurt and Renee. He was the youngest of 2 boys. When he was 5, his family moved to Beirut, Lebanon until 1958 when he graduated from the American Community School. He was fluent. Still thinking about Wellsley. He was fluent in 4 languages, Dylan.
4.
English, German, French, and Arabic.
Wow, and those are not easy languages, right?
No, I mean, that's pretty impressive. After graduation, I'm not even fluent in English most of the time. That's why you call me a mushmouth bitch.
It's true.
So after graduation, Dirk attended Yale University, where he majored in biochemistry. In 1962, he graduated, then decided to move to Cleveland, Ohio to pursue a combined MD/PhD program.
I've never even heard of that.
Well, he was going to study pharmacology and medicine together at the same time. So almost like a double major to get his medical degree and his PhD.
So he'd have a doctorate in pharmacology and be a medical doctor.
Yeah.
Is that how you say that?
Yeah.
Wow.
And this is at Case Western Reserve University. Finally, in 1970, he finished his studies. While residing in Cleveland, Dirk met his wife, Mabel Chegwin. Now, she was born in Colombia, South America on August 31st of 1940. May, as she was called, was the youngest of 4 children. When they met, 23-year-old May was pursuing an advanced degree in medical surgical nursing. When May was a year old, her family had settled in New York. So the young woman had moved to Cleveland in order to earn this master's degree, this advanced degree. She had graduated from Hunter College with a nursing degree, and she had minored in zoology.
That's an odd combination.
Yeah, and we mentioned Hunter College. That was one of the schools that Robert Chambers attended and was like subsequently kicked out of after like a semester.
Now, what is the point of a minor? Is that because you just have these like extra credits you can get, or is because like those two are very different. They're not connected at all. Those 2 careers, zoology and what was the other one?
Nursing,
yeah. So, I mean, I've always been kind of confused. Of course, I think everybody knows I didn't do the college thing. I have a degree. I have a PhD actually, and an MD in Hard Knocks, the School of Hard Knocks.
Are you one of those guys?
I am one of those guys, but at the same time, I have no street smarts, which is weird. But what's the point of a minor? Is there? I mean, not to get off subject, is there an easy answer for that?
Well, I mean, I think there's probably different reasons to pursue a minor. I think it can give you a leg up. Like, let's say you're majoring in English and then you minor in creative writing.
Well, see, that makes sense.
I mean, so that kind of goes together.
Yeah.
So you can couple these things together. It can kind of help you get a job or help you get into an advanced program, like if you want to do a master's. I also think that it's just something that you could be interested in.
It could be another interest
that you want to pursue.
Okay.
And it can make you look good on paper, because not only did you spend your time majoring in this, but you took the time to earn a minor in this other completely different thing. So it shows that you can kind of like handle hard work and course loads and like,
okay.
I don't know.
Wow.
That's just what I'm speculating. I don't know, Dylan.
I think that's a sound answer, and I don't have, but I did major in badassery.
I
so there
minored
is
in
that.
film studies.
Oh yes, we know.
Took me far, huh?
Well, I mean, you know what? It's interesting to watch a movie with you because you can talk about the shots and how things are developed and the reason for such various things.
You hate that.
No, I don't hate that. I think it's interesting.
Okay, so she has this nursing degree and a minor in zoology, so apparently she was interested in animals, right? Now, the couple dated for a short time, then drifted apart. However, in 1966, they were reunited, and by 1968, they decided to marry. May had begun working as a professor at Case Western Reserve University, and when Dirk graduated, the pair decided to move to Manhattan.
Wow.
New York City. I was waiting for you to say it again.
I think I need to retire that every time I hear New York.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think people are over it.
I'm not over it.
New York City.
I was ready for it. Dirk had taken a residency at Cornell University's medical school and at New York Hospital. May landed a faculty job at Cornell Nursing School, where she worked for 1 year before becoming pregnant. Pretty successful couple.
Yeah.
They're making big moves.
Yeah, I mean, well,
They're like Cardi B, they're making money moves.
They have all these highfalutin degrees, you know, and it seems like they have, they're
Love
both,
that word, highfalutin.
they seem to be rather, you know, both of them rather smart, you know, seem to have goal-oriented. So, yeah, it's amazing when you see a kind of successful couple like this, because I don't know any couples like that.
That's true.
I mean, well, I don't mean it in a bad way. I just mean like,
All of our friends are losers.
yeah.
All of our friends are like us.
And then we'll go hang out with like
Big losers.
a strange group of people, and they'll be like, oh, everybody has a master's in blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, okay,
Yeah, I know you love those people.
cool. I dropped out in 10th grade.
Dylan's very irritated when he meets new people, and in the first like 10 minutes of conversation, they let him know that they have a graduate degree.
Here's the thing.
He'll pull me aside and be like, I don't fucking care.
Well, look, if you're vegan, cross-training,
Crossfitting,
or have a master's, I don't need to know that in the first 3 minutes of us meeting, okay?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I could...
See, but that's the thing. People tell you about their master's degree, and then for some reason they feel the need to tell me about, like, their STD, right? So, I mean, at least you're getting, like, the more normal part of the conversation.
Well, I don't open up with,
People tell me the most random, bizarre shit.
They do.
And I just wish they would just, like, let me know they had a fucking community college associate's degree in, like, fishery and wildlife sciences or something, but they don't, Dylan.
That's what you have a big ear. But you know, I never open up with I'm a 10th grade dropout and I make $100,000 a year, you know?
Not for much longer.
Well, yeah.
Not for very much longer.
So I don't need that mill job.
Dylan's about to lose his job. Okay, so on April 22nd, 1971, the couple welcomed daughter Kirsten to the fold. After their daughter was born in 1972, Dirk moved the family to Bethesda, Maryland. Dirk entered a 3-year program at the National Institutes of Health to study allergy and infectious disease.
Ooh.
Again, making moves. Big moves.
Yeah, they got the big brains.
Yeah. By 1975, the Greineders moved to Wellsley after Dirk took a job at the former Robert B. Brigham Hospital in the Boston area. 1 day per week, he saw patients, but mostly spent his time researching immunology. He stayed there until 1980 and also worked at the Brockton Emergency Room part-time to make ends meet, and he did this up until 1986.
While he continued his education.
Well, I mean, he's mostly doing research, and he doesn't see patients very much. So working at the ER, he's able to get that hands-on with patients that he enjoys. He also gets to make a little extra money and kind of keep fresh with his medical knowledge.
Yeah, that's smart. Stay up on the new current trends.
Instead of just doing research. Dirk decided he wanted to work full-time as an allergist, focusing more on patient care. That's when he decided to join the Harvard Community Health Plan, an HMO with only 2 health centers and a very small membership. But he wasn't earning enough money, and they couldn't afford to pay him as a full-time allergist. So he moved to Morton Hospital in Taunton to continue working part-time in the emergency room. So again, he's still having to work kind of 2 jobs to make ends meet, right? So got this great education, lots of experience, very smart guy, but just not cranking out the funds like one might expect.
And this happens. It happens. It seems to happen more often than not, honestly, in my limited experience with people with doctorates and masters. Because let's say, for instance, you get a master's in social work or whatever that's called.
Okay.
Yeah, you got a master in or
Whatever that's called.
master in children's education or whatever. And then you get a job making $40,000 a year. You know what I mean? And you got like $275,000 in student debt.
I know a lot of those folks.
How's that supposed to work out?
I don't know. Just be an underachiever like me. During this time, the Greineders had welcomed 2 more children, Colin and Britt. May stayed home as a full-time mom, which was quite busy. She was always transporting kids to swim practice and to swim meets. All of her kids were competitive swimmers. Colin was her youngest, and after he graduated from high school, May went back to work as a triage nurse. On Thanksgiving Day of 1998, May's mother suffered a stroke. That's when May quit working full-time. She spent the weekdays in New York, where her mother was living, just taking care of her, and she would return on the weekends back to Wellsley. A dutiful daughter, May did this until her mother passed away, which was in January of 1999. So in the mid to late 1990s, Dirk's allergy department at Beth Israel Hospital, where he was now employed in Boston, had gotten a $5 million grant to study pediatric asthma. Most of Dirk's time was taken up with this project. He worked 12-hour days and one night at a clinic. The rest of his time was spent doing paperwork and writing grants, which he did a lot of that at home. So he's like really like putting in the work.
Yeah, sounds like he's just working constantly.
Yeah, and maybe just like not having a whole lot of time for other, I don't know, he doesn't have time for a lot of fun things, I guess one could say, right? Because he's just like working his ass off.
He's working for the weekend, and then he has to work through the weekend.
Exactly. In 1997, the family traveled to Europe to visit Kirsten, who was working on a Fulbright scholarship. Again, that's a pretty prestigious award.
Really?
Granted to very few folks.
So you got to have like really good grades, you know, all the extracurricular stuff.
Yeah,
everything.
It's a pretty sought after scholarship, the Fulbright. I want to say that maybe Bill Clinton was a Fulbright scholar. Maybe not. I don't know why he pops in my head when I think of that. Or he might have been a Rhodes Scholar. Anyway, they're kind of up there with like very similar prestige, and it's a very elite group of students who qualify.
That's what I would call big boy shit.
So in June of 1998, Kirsten moved to Ann Arbor, Michigan to do her medical residency. The Greineders helped her move, and they spent about 5 days in Michigan ensuring that everything was going to be perfect for for their daughter. Now, according to Kirsten, her mother May was sad, and Kirsten worried what life might be like for her parents as empty nesters, because they had always, it seemed, had the hubbub of kids in the house, the running back and forth to swim practice and school and events, and then now all of a sudden, mom is not employed, she's at home, kids are gone.
Yeah.
Dad works all the time.
And where's the problem? I'm just kidding.
However, they had purchased tickets to the Huntington Theater, where they had enjoyed going to the symphony. So together, the couple, finally alone again, seemed to, discover these new activities that they enjoyed. Like once they're empty nesters, they enjoyed spending time walking their dog, and they did gardening together. Went to the symphony, started to kind of have a bigger social circle now that the kids are out of the house.
Probably going to Home Depot like every other day.
Maybe going to Home Depot.
Bunch of do-it-yourself projects.
Maybe eating a sexy dinner at the Olive Garden.
It'd be like Julie and David busting up in there about to fix some trim.
Are you talking about my bestie?
On a Saturday.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens when you have a rich people house.
It's true.
Then you get to do rich people things to your rich people house. Now, May seemed to do well. She actually lost some weight. She got a facelift and began dressing more stylishly. In September of 1999, May began school at Massachusetts General Hospital's School of Nursing to pursue a nurse practitioner degree. By now, Kirsten announced her engagement, and May officially took over the wedding planning for her daughter. And by all accounts, May seemed to be living her best life. Between classwork, May was on the phone with wedding venues, photographers, florists, just planning like this beautiful wedding for her daughter, which, if that's your kind of thing, could be very fun, right?
The big wedding.
Yeah. May had a workspace at home, but she refused to get on the internet.
Oh, okay.
She was hardly considered computer savvy, and she often had to get Dirk to print papers for her because she didn't own a printer and she really didn't even know how to work one.
Yeah, so it's like me and you doing my email for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
One day you will figure out how to attach a document, I promise.
Ooh, I don't know.
It like stresses you out.
That seems really scary. I think I'll just get you to do it.
So this brings us to Sunday, October 31st of 1999. Halloween was a picture-perfect fall day in Wellsley. The morning was cool and crisp, but it was set to warm up by the afternoon. Dirk and May woke up around 6 a.m., which was pretty typical for them on weekends. The house was a tri-level, so Dirk went upstairs to the kitchen. Their master bedroom was on the bottom level. So he goes up there to make breakfast for the pair, which consisted of muffins and some fresh fruit. May stayed behind, finishing up a few chores, such as changing the sheets on the couple's bed and putting the dirty linens in the wash. Now, as they munched on breakfast, they decided to take the family dog, Zephyr, for a walk around Morse's Pond later that morning. May had schoolwork, but it was shaping up, so she thought she had time for a walk. After dressing, they gathered up a few dog toys and put them in a small red backpack that also carried like the dog's leash and a few other items. There was a pair of gloves and a small plastic bags, which they brought along in case May picked berries, because she liked to mix these fresh berries that she picked with the bird seed, because she had some little bird feeders, and she took really good care of the little birds that came into her yard.
I thought that was some poop gloves.
No.
You know, every time we walk Rufus and you don't bring a bag, he just has the biggest poop.
Yeah, I know. That's why I always bring a bag.
And I'm so embarrassed if we can't pick it up, because I really think that is like the wrong thing to do.
Well, I have been finding like the little plastic bags that I carry in like all of my pants pockets.
Everywhere.
Shoved in like the most ridiculous places, because I feel like I always have to have 3 or 4 on me at all times. I never know when I'm going to have to pick up your poop.
It's true.
Yeah. So while sitting in their van, Dirk's kind of wrangling the dog. May got a nosebleed, and this had been happening recently, and Kirsten had encouraged her mother to see a doctor about it. So Dirk found a towel in the couple's Toyota Avalon and offered it to his wife. Now, during this time, the dog was getting anxious and started jumping around the vehicle, and Dirk was hit in the nose by the dog, which caused him to get a nosebleed too.
Oh, wow.
Now, when the couple was finally ready to go, they headed in their minivan to a popular greenway and a park area known as Morse's Pond. It's a 100-acre park offering swimming, walking trails, and a beautiful forest area. The beach area is also very popular in the summer months for splashing and picnicking.
Wow, that's a pretty damn big park.
Yeah.
100 acres is a lot.
Yeah. Now, they parked in front of a locked gate on Turner Road between 8 and 8:30. When Mary entered the pine forest that Halloween morning, she had no idea what was coming for her.
I don't have any idea either. What's going to happen?
Oh, I don't know. I thought you knew.
Oh, God, if Heather doesn't know, folks, it's over. That's the end of the episode.
Gosh, you all of a sudden got very allergic to something.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I told you I was exposed to some kind of ragweed or something today, and it's really messing up my sinuses.
You really should stop exposing yourself to things.
It exposed itself to me.
I bet it did. Now, around 8:56 a.m., Dirk Greineder called the Wellsley Police Department to report someone had attacked his wife.
Oh, my gosh.
In a high-pitched, panicked voice, he said they had been walking their dog and that May suddenly had a back pain. He left her to continue walking the dog, and upon his return, Dirk discovered someone had attacked his wife, and he thought she might be dead.
Oh, my God. This is one of those stories.
No one knows exactly what happened that morning, but months later, Dirk will explain that they departed the vehicle together. Walking along, they tossed a ball kind of back and forth to the dog. He was playing fetch. And at one point, they tossed the ball down an embankment, and the dog ran down to fetch it. So they're walking through the trees, and they kind of ended up in a flat surface area near a sand pit. It was about 30 to 40 feet below the pine level forest. As they were going down the gravel path to this pit, May slipped and let out a tiny yelp. She seemed to be frozen in an awkward position. In recent months, May had experienced back problems and was required to wear a back brace. Yet today, she had not been wearing it. May said she would be fine after resting for just a few minutes. So she rested, then took a few small steps. Dirk took his wife's hand to keep her from slipping, and she told him to go ahead with Zephyr. She wanted to wait it out at the rock by the parking lot, which this was a familiar, I guess it was like a big rock in the parking lot area, and it was kind of familiar to them. It was a meeting place where they had often like reconvened at family outings and whatever.
So she'd been having back issues for a while.
She done been having back pain, Dylan.
And I tell you what, when you take a wrong step or whatever and you twist your back up, and
You throw your back out.
if you've already been having issues, it just really affects everything you do. I mean, you can't get away from the discomfort or pain. Breathing, anything bothers
since
it.
I took that long ass road trip and drove like straight through to Michigan and then turned around like a couple days later and drove right back, my lower back has been so fucked. It's been so bad. So I totally know what this, what this is like. Okay, so she's like, you go on. I'm going to go wait by the rock in the parking lot. And Dirk was going to take the dog down to the beach area. Zephyr, the dog, loved running on this beach, liked going down to the water. I mean, this all sounds pretty normal, right?
So it's like his favorite spot.
Yeah.
He loves the beach area.
Right. So when you're done at the beach, just come meet me at the rock in the parking lot. Initially, Dirk said he was kind of hesitant to let his wife go alone, but she insisted. Like, just go on and have fun with the dog. Dirk went on without her, while May took an alternate route to their meeting place. He walked the dog and tossed the ball as they trudged along. Now, usually Zephyr ran down to the water at the beach, but according to Dirk, she wasn't acting normally. I'm sorry, I've been calling the dog a boy. It's a girl dog.
Oh, my gosh.
Now, she kept sniffing along an area of the beach. It wasn't really getting in the water like she normally would. This is according to Dirk. So when he decided to head back and reach the rock where he was supposed to meet his wife, she wasn't there.
Oh, I can't go have fun without you. I would never leave you.
That's not true.
It's not. It is true.
Me all the time.
That's a damn lie.
You're lying. Anytime Dylan says that's a damn lie, that's how you know he's lying.
Ugh, man, I want you and Kenneth to stop saying that shit because it's not true.
It is true.
When I say, and Kenneth is my bestie, when I say it's a damn lie, that's coming from my heart.
Kenneth and I are conspiring against
It's the
you.
truth. And it means you're the one who's telling the damn lie. Hence
Not
the term.
me. You're telling the damn lie. Now, thinking she might be at a different rock in the parking lot area, he kind of went to circle around. It had been about 10 minutes since they separated. He called out for her but got no answer. Then Zephyr took off running sort of down an embankment, and he loses sight of the dog. So he goes to follow her, and that's when he saw May lying at the edge of a path at the embankment, like the bottom of this bank.
Oh my gosh. So he kind of stumbled upon her by accident.
Yeah. Zephyr was now sort of nuzzling May, but May was not moving. He went down to ask if she was okay, but got no response. Her eyes were not open, and that's when he noticed a cut on May's forehead. He tried to wake his wife, but couldn't, so he felt for a pulse on her neck. And as he was trying to feel for the pulse, he noticed blood.
Oh my gosh.
Having no idea what had just happened, but only knowing that his wife was really injured, Dirk shook May to try to wake her. There was a massive wound on the left side of her neck. Feeling like he might do more harm than good, he changed his mind about this, moving her, like deciding not to move her. I should just keep her stabilized where she is.
Yeah, if you find somebody basically non-responsive, it's a good idea to not move them because you don't know what's happened. You don't know what type of injury they may have.
He ran for help and bumped into a resident walking his dog. Dirk, who had forgotten his cell phone, asked if the man had one, and the man didn't. That's when Dirk ran to the access road, and he saw another man and asked this gentleman for a phone. Now, frustrated that no one had a cell phone, he ran to the car where he first dialed the house line, just out of habit, he said. Then he called the police. One of the men he'd met on the trail had followed him back to the van because obviously this is a man in distress. Just like, are you okay? What can I do for you? And Dirk asked the man if he would go down to May because the police wanted him to wait at the van. They were going to send some emergency services.
Down by the river.
But the man told Dirk, no, you go be with your wife, and I will wait here for police and EMS.
Again, that's what I would ask the guy to wait, and I would be worried about my wife. I don't
So
know.
as he's agreeing to this deal, a police cruiser pulls in the lot. The officer, along with Dirk, drove down to the area near what was described as a circle, which I'm assuming is like a traffic circle in this parking lot area. And that's kind of near where May's body was located.
Okay.
Down this embankment. By now, several firemen had arrived. Dirk was carefully covering his wife's abdomen as it had been exposed. And the officer asked him to step away so paramedics could work on May. Stunned, in a daze, Dirk slowly understood and sort of stepped back. The officer got on the horn and notified dispatch that they had a homicide.
Oh, wow.
Dirk relayed the story to police that May had thrown out her back after slipping. He had gone ahead with the dog and returned to find her on the ground. He asked if she was dead, and the officer said yes. Dirk then asked, quote, "Are you going to arrest me?"
Okay, that's a bit of a strange second question, right?
Yeah.
And like, I would be flipping
I
out.
think so.
I would be like, oh my God, my wife's dead. What's happened?
My wife.
Yeah.
When paramedics arrived, they knew instantly the woman had not injured her back. Noting a large wound on the victim's neck, emergency service workers knew it was that this was a possible crime scene. Now, near the body was a plastic baggie with blood on it. May's pants leg were like hiked up. Her abdomen was exposed, and the necklace that she was wearing was embedded in the neck wound. Now, Dylan, I don't know why, but the idea of someone's necklace being embedded, like in this wound, totally freaks me out.
Yeah, that's very strange. And that just is something that would kind of creep me out too.
You think so?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. There's something real creepy about that. Anywho, it's really sad. Now, there seemed to be a heel print along with a drag mark in the dirt. The officers began scouring the area for anyone who was there. Take note of their shoes and photos as well. So anybody that's just leisurely hanging out at this park, we're going to get pictures of them, and we want to see their shoes.
Okay.
And pictures of the shoes, which is smart.
It is smart.
And that's good police work, really, if you think about it. Now, the area was roped off with crime scene tape, and Dr. Dirk Greineder, who was with an officer, couldn't seem to stand still. He was moving around, had a lot of nervous energy. Dirk had blood stains on the yellow and white windbreaker he was wearing. From his shoulders to wrist, the stains were prominently displayed. He had a reddish spot on his running shoe and dirt on his black pants. Dirk was pacing back and forth. At one point, he laid down flat on the pavement with his head resting on his arms. Then he got up again. So, law enforcement's kind of like, what the fuck is going on with this guy?
Well, I mean, we always say it. Sometimes people react very oddly to a traumatic situation like
Well,
this.
that's one way to put it, is that he's reacting oddly.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, everybody's different.
Detectives and state police arrive. Now, each time Dirk told them his version of what had happened, they noticed May's wound on the left side of her neck, as well as the one on her forehead. And although Dirk was observed with bloodstain, his hands were surprisingly clean, which confused investigators. He had 3 visible scrape marks on his neck. When asked by investigators if Dirk and May had sex in the last 24 hours, he said no. They needed to rule out his DNA if there was semen present, like if she had been sexually assaulted. But Dirk explained they had not been sexually active together for a few years now.
Wow, that's a long time.
Dirk asked if he could phone his daughter, Britt. The police denied him this opportunity. Dirk told officers he really needed to get home and take care of the other dog.
Dirk, dude, come on. That's the top of your list right now. Your wife's been murdered, and you're worried about the other dog.
Well, you know what? If I was murdered, my hope would be that you were going to come home and take care of Rufus. Okay?
Well, look, if I was murdered, I would
look how cute he is.
I would know damn well that you need to get home and take care of Rufus, and I would want you to do that. Just so you know, if I get murdered, they're trying to ask you about it. Don't feel weird about going home. Say I need to go home and check on Rufus.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I would be angry if you weren't trying to get home to take care of Rufus.
Okay.
Because now his mommy is gone, and he's forever going to be sad.
I don't know if I could look him in his little face if he could never see you again, though. He would be the saddest little pup ever.
I know, right? Because he loves me more than you do.
That's not true.
Okay,
Man,
so
fuck you, Rufus.
Oh, he's cute. Don't say that to him.
I'm sorry. I'll take that back. He's too cute for that.
Talk to my dog that
You
way.
son of a bitch.
You son of a bitch.
Look here, you son of a bitch.
You're a damn lie.
I'm not going to compete for my wife's affection with a little fur ball.
But you do.
Well, I didn't compete because I've already lost.
It's true. Because I do like him more than you most of the time.
That's okay. He don't pay the bills. He don't have an opposable thumb. He doesn't have a job either. So don't look at me like he pays the bills.
Like he offers up things that you don't give me.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Companionship.
Oh, my gosh.
And he doesn't give me blip.
Holy shit.
Okay.
I don't know what's going on here.
Okay. So he's like, I want to go home and take care of the fucking dog. And police were just like, what the hell is wrong with this guy?
So it's
I
like
mean,
one...
This is, yeah.
It's like one thing after another.
Yeah, I mean, he's acting kind of nuts and
Right.
rolling around on the ground and
all
jumping
over the
up
place.
and hipping and hopping around like he's a damn frog. And yeah.
By the way, I was expecting a package. Do you mind if I go home and check on it?
Exactly. Are you going to arrest me? Well, the police told him, instead, you can accompany us to the police station. And Dirk was like, okay, sure. Yeah. Now, at the station, he was allowed to call his daughter Britt, who lived in Brookline, which is, I guess, fairly close to Wellsley. Officers asked if he'd washed his hands, which he denied. And then they asked, why are your hands so clean? And Dirk's like, I don't know.
Because I'm a doctor.
I'm covered in blood everywhere, but my hands are sparkling clean.
My hands are so fresh and so clean.
They told Dirk he would need to take off his clothes and his shoes. And they kind of hinted like maybe your daughter could bring you a change of clothes because we're going to take these from you.
We want your clothes.
He told law enforcement that the locks and alarm system had recently been updated at the house. And then Dirk told them he needed to call his friend Terry, who was a lawyer.
Yeah, now I need a lawyer too, bud.
After his phone call to Terry the lawyer, Dirk said to police, quote, he says I shouldn't talk to you anymore.
And the lawyers always say that. They always say, don't say anything, don't sign anything, don't do anything. And it appears that Brookline is 17 minutes from Wellsley.
Yeah, and I believe that's where he had an office as well.
Okay.
We'll talk about that later. Terry Siegel arrived later at the department to speak with Dirk. Siegel spoke with Dirk, then said, I want to reach out to the district attorney. So his lawyer friend's like, let me call the DA.
And see what they're thinking.
And so hang tight. So while he's waiting for his lawyer friend to return, Dirk tells the officer May had given him a back rub earlier that morning, so his skin would likely be under her fingernails.
Damn, what kind of back rub she giving? Yeah.
Kind of leaves your back all scratched up, Dylan.
Be like, well, she gave me a back rub earlier today, so there's a good possibility that her blood is in my hair.
You've never went to the massage therapist and asked for the special cat scratch fever massage?
No, I've never ever in my life had a massage.
Climb on my back like you're Ted Nugent and play guitar on me.
Okay.
Yeah, like that. So when Britt arrived at the station, she was clearly upset and began screaming. When she saw her dad, she asked, quote, did something happen between you and Mom today? Then she said, quote, why do these fucked up things always happen to our family? Why do psychotic, unexplained things happen to our family?
What? And I'm assuming she's kind of saying this in front of everybody.
Yeah.
other people.
Yeah.
Police.
Yes. And Dirk told his daughter, his response, Dylan, is, they're going to think it's me. I've seen it on TV.
Ah, yes. Well, I mean, look, he has a point. Everybody knows that's the cliche. If someone's killed, they always check the spouse first, right? So, I mean, he's not wrong. But I don't think that's why they're thinking it might be you, bud. It's because you're acting fucking weird. And you're like worried about everything but the fact that your wife's died. And you're not running around screaming, who did this? They need to pay. What happened? What happened to my wife? How did she die?
Is that what you're going to run around screaming?
Yeah.
Who did this?
They need to pay.
What happened to my wife? This person needs to pay. That's what you're going to say?
Yes. The assailant must be apprehended.
I don't believe he's going to say anything.
I'm saying all that stuff.
Look, I have to go home and get a beer and a cigarette.
I'm not going to be
If I
like,
go smoke this pack?
I need to go home and finish raking the backyard.
Is it okay if I go home and like hit a bowl a couple of times and then I'll come back and answer your questions?
Now, I might need to hit the bowl because I would be emotionally distressed. And that's a medicinal use of marijuana.
Well, later, Britt would clarify that the mention of psychotic things were related to May's older brother, her uncle, Fred Chegwood, who had committed multiple murders in 1968 after driving his Ford Mustang to his father-in-law's home in the Hollywood Hills of California. He forced his way into the house, killed 4 people, then himself. It involved a nasty love triangle between Fred, his wife, and her sister. He had also been fired from his job the day before.
Oh, my gosh.
Which I think that his father-in-law had a part in getting him fired.
So it was a murder-suicide of 4 people.
Yeah.
He killed himself, his wife, her sister, and her father.
Yeah, I guess.
Wow. And himself.
Yeah.
Damn, he should have started with himself.
Now, Terry Siegel returns from speaking to the DA, Dylan, and advised his client to turn over the clothes and shoes so they could leave the police station. However, Dirk refused to hand over his eyeglasses, stating it was the only pair he had and he needed them to drive. Now, they had blood stains on them and were important evidence. So it was a mistake to allow the man to leave with them, but police allowed him to take the eyeglasses.
Why couldn't they just take a swab, bruh? Just swab that thing, dude. Put it in the tube like on the TV.
Honey, it's the late 90s. I don't know. Now, law enforcement officials followed Terry Siegel and Dirk back to the house where they kind of did a cursory search. A baby gate at the bottom of the stairs, which was used to keep the dogs from going up, had reddish-brown stains on it. Dirk said they were paint stains from the deck. Officers wanted to take it, but decided ultimately to just photograph it instead. They walked through the house. It took about a half hour, and they photographed Dirk's glasses before he cleaned them.
Okay. They should took some scrapings from that deck. I need to go around with them, tell them what they should do.
You should.
Even if it's like out of the time period and they don't have the technology. I'd be like, you guys need to use the mitochondrial DNA shit, dude, that comes from the mama. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we could call you like the should-do detective, Dylan.
Yeah.
We could hire you out like a consultant.
I'd be like, what you should do is XYZ.
A helicopter was sent to the Morses Pond to take pictures of the crime scene from an aerial point of view. Detectives went back to the scene with search dogs, and a canine alerted to a storm drain. Inside the drain was the head of a hammer, a brass end of a knife, and a glove. It was brown. And from the way it was described, Dylan, it almost sounds like a gardening glove or some kind of heavy gloves that you might use that have like the little rubbery grips on the bottom.
Okay.
You know, like the little tiny dots.
Yeah.
And I think in some like winter gloves also kind of have that, like the little stretch magic gloves or something. But that was the kind of glove they found, was more like a gardening glove or something that you might use for maintenance to protect your hand.
Yeah, because you got that.
I'm not exactly sure. Like a utility glove, is that what it would be called?
Yeah, you got that extra grip. They're super grippy.
Yeah, so they discovered that it was a 2-pound East Wing drilling hammer with a short handle, almost like a mini sledgehammer.
Yeah, I can imagine exactly what kind of hammer you're talking about.
The knife, a Schrade, had a 4-inch folding blade. The brass area had the name Old Timer inscribed on it. There was blood on all 3 items, including the glove, and there was also some dog hair on these items. The look on your face.
Well, I'm going to assume somebody dumped those items thinking they were getting rid of them. And now this damn dog went straight to it. And so Old Timer's a brand of knife, right?
Seems to me the smarter thing would have been like to throw it in the pond, in the lake, at the beach, maybe? In the water?
Now, is this near his house?
This is at the pond area.
At the pond area of the
storm
park?
drain is near where his wife was killed.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you totally got to get that, like, further away.
Well, police went back to the station to draft a search warrant for the Greineder home. Britt called Kirsten in Michigan and spoke to her fiance. And then Colin, who was in New Haven, attending Yale. So she has to tell her siblings what has happened.
Oh, my
Which
gosh.
has to be a terrible experience.
So mom's dead, and they think dad did it.
Oh, no, the kids never think dad did it.
Okay.
Let's continue with the story. So the kids were all called to Boston. When all the children had arrived at the house, Dirk spent the evening explaining what had happened. Around midnight, they all went to bed. It was an hour later when 10 Massachusetts state police officers, along with Wellsley police, arrived to execute the search warrant. One of the detectives believed they would find evidence relating to May's murder inside the home. Now, at first, Dirk acted like the cops couldn't come in because of the dogs, because they were just going nuts. But the cop was like, put your dogs away, dude. Your dogs are not going to keep me from coming in this fucking house.
Yeah, we're not just going to cancel it, bro.
Like, put your dogs up or I'm going to shoot your dogs.
Like, get your dogs,
like,
bro.
Yeah.
Do something.
And he finally relented. But the whole time he's arguing about how they can't come in because of the dogs. Like, what?
This guy uses the dogs for everything.
The detective told Dirk they needed to talk while officers scoured the house. He told Dirk that they had found something at this pond area, right? And demanded to know, where's the other glove? And Dirk was like, I don't know what you're talking about. What glove? What do you mean a glove?
Yeah, what glove do you mean?
What glove?
Do you want me to try the glove on?
My Michael Jackson costume glove?
If
My O.J. Simpson glove?
If it doesn't fit, you know what you need to do.
Well, the officer told him, it'll be a lot easier for your family if you just tell me where we can find the left-handed glove. Then he told Dirk, quote, we've got DNA. Now, this statement seemed to send Dirk into a frenzy. He knew enough about DNA to understand it probably took a lot longer to get the data, but he was nervous anyway. He was being read his Miranda rights because now he is an official suspect. He was nervous, so Dirk phoned Terry Siegel, then a neighbor named Nancy Gans. And the family actually went over to the Gans household to hang out while the house was being searched. Now, the type of work glove Dirk knew he had purchased in the past, but had no idea where it was. That's what he kept saying is, well, I have some gloves like that, but I don't even know where they are. Now, the warrant was looking for the knife's handle, maybe packaging that the hammer or the knife had come in. They were looking for this missing glove and anything relating to the purchase of these items, receipts, credit card bills.
Or the box labeled wife killing kit.
That, yeah. Now, the family sat in the Gans household discussing DNA evidence. 3 of them had studied molecular biology and debated how quickly DNA could be discovered and tested. Police gave Terry Siegel a list of items they seized, which included an American Express card cut in half, a bag containing some shredded paper, a Ziploc bag containing latex gloves, eyeglasses, and some credit card statements. The following day, as more family arrived to the house, Dirk sort of pulled his niece, Belinda, aside, and this is actually May's niece, but he pulls her aside and says that he and May had intercourse the morning she was killed, which could impact DNA evidence. And his niece is sort of shocked because this was not a normal conversation for them to be having. And she also just thought it was very strange and inappropriate for her uncle to be telling her this.
Well, it's like
it just
you
came
told
out of nowhere.
You told the police no. when they asked if you'd recently had intercourse with your wife. But then you just randomly pulled her niece aside. It's like, oh my God, I had sex with your aunt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I busted your aunt down over the breakfast nook this morning. And I'm afraid that it might affect this case because now she's been murdered by somebody else.
Oh my God, that's probably how she threw out her back.
Yeah, I threw her back out. Okay, I'll stop. She is a murder victim.
You've never thrown anyone's back out in your whole life.
I thought I'd throw my own back out, damn it.
Yeah, but that was probably just like lifting something.
It wasn't
and not
sex.
that, I can tell you that. Now, he told police that they hadn't had sex for several years, if you remember. So now we have a prime suspect, the husband, called in a lie.
Oh, yeah, you did say several years.
Yeah.
Hey, I fuck hard, dude. I don't care who you tell.
Well, you just told a bunch of people, so.
Well, I'm just saying. It's
Hit
the
him
truth.
up.
The truth needs to get. Don't hit me up.
Dylan at shoulddoDetectiveDylan.com.
Should do.
At the shoulddoDetectiveAgency.com.
I like that.
Police had photographed Dirk at the station. Images of scratch marks on his neck. He's claiming these came from shaving, but you don't typically get like
Multiple scratch marks.
Scratch marks like that look like a human made them.
Like look like fingernails raked down your neck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I ain't never seen nobody get that from shaving.
No.
Some black and blue marks on his upper arms. There were 3 to 4 small round marks, kind of like fingerprints. He also had a scratch mark on his chest, and he denied knowing how he came by either of those, the bruises or the scratch mark.
So these seem to be obvious signs of you been in a struggle with somebody, dude. You got fingertip bruises, like somebody squeezing on you real hard. You got fingernail scratches down your neck, seams, and a scratch on your chest. Sounds like you was fighting somebody with nails.
Dirk asked his niece if her husband, an attorney, could help him select a lawyer. So he met her husband the next day in Boston along with Terry Siegel, and they ultimately hired Martin F. Murphy, who was a pretty well-known criminal defense attorney. To family, Dirk kept bringing up the simultaneous nosebleeds and how he and May had shared a towel. It could explain how his DNA ended up on her body if she was trying to fight off the killer. He was already trying to set up how his DNA might end up on the killer's glove, explaining this to his kids.
So she got my DNA on her because we were having a simultaneous nosebleed.
Yeah.
We were sharing the same towel because that's just what you do when both your noses start bleeding. And then my DNA I'm sorry about my head stopped up. My DNA somehow got on her. And then it must have got on the killer's glove when he killed your mom.
Yes.
Would you believe this shit if somebody told you that?
I don't even believe most of the truthful things you say, so no, I'm probably going to know somebody's lying.
Who the hell shares a towel? And who the hell has nosebleeds at the same time?
Well, if you remember, she had the nosebleed, and then he was wrangling the dog, and the dog jumped up and hit him in the face, according to him.
Okay, what's the odds of that? But it happened, according to him.
Yeah, well, if you were listening to the first part of the story,
Well, no,
you would have caught that detail.
Well, honey, I remember the detail. I
You
truly do.
You do?
But
Okay.
who the hell, am I supposed to believe both your noses were bleeding at the same time? Because I don't believe that shit.
You don't? Well, nearly 800 people attended May's memorial service. After the service, Dirk cornered May's sister, Ilse, to ask if he could borrow $500,000 to pay attorneys and experts, explaining that the police were gunning for him, though he didn't understand why because there were similar murders in the area.
Hey,
Now-
do you have a minute, sis?
Now, she didn't directly address the money situation at that moment. This is so tacky, Dylan. This is the worst time to be asking for a loan. Your wife has just been killed, and your sister-in-law is grieving. Her sister has been killed, is dead. And
Yeah.
you're going to be like, hey, not only can I have a small loan, but can I have a $500,000 loan?
Let me holler at you for a second. Yeah, I know it's your sister's funeral, but you happen to have $500,000 laying around so I can defend myself against the fact that they think I killed your sister? Cash, check, whatever you got works.
Law enforcement officials said the key was preserving the crime scene. It wasn't even about who killed May, but rather being able to prove it was only one person, and there was no one else around to do it. Officers were able to preserve blood splatter, footwear impressions, all very difficult in an outdoor crime scene. Police called in divers to search a nearby frog pond where May was found to see if there were any remaining pieces of murder weapons that might have been thrown in there. A second search of the storm drain revealed the right glove.
Wow.
So they just, when they found the initial items, they somehow looked over this other glove that had been thrown down there.
Well, I say a storm drain is probably not a very clean place.
Right. Now, people in the community were concerned a maniac was running rampant in the area, killing folks. But law enforcement knew it was her husband, so they were trying to reassure people, we've got this under control, don't fear, it's okay, without coming out and saying, we know he did it.
They're basically like, the public's not in danger.
Yes.
We're on top of this.
Due to his behavior, the circumstances, the inconsistent statements, and of course those clean hands, from the start, Dirk was the best suspect. And statistically, most homicides are committed by a person the victim knows.
There you go.
It's usually someone very close to you. Typically, if a wife is murdered, 9 times out of 10, the husband did it, right?
What about the
Behind
husband?
it. Well, same thing, bro.
The wife did it.
Maybe.
Anytime you hear a story like this, like we were walking and then, I left and I came back and she was just, somebody killed her. It was crazy. It's always the husband.
Well, after someone has a fight, the girlfriend or the wife leaves and disappears and is never seen again.
She left walking.
She left walking.
At 2 a.m.
How many times have we heard a missing persons case or a true crime story? We had a fight. She left walking or he left walking. And then they're never heard from again.
I remember one, that really did happen. They got in a fight and she was like, fuck you, and left walking and somebody else killed her. Like for real.
You remember that?
Yeah, it was for real.
Which one is it?
I don't know.
See?
No, but it's true. No, it's true.
That sounds like a damn lie.
No, it's true.
Sounds like something Dylan just made up in his head.
No, it's real. I'll figure it out. I'll bring the name and the case next time we have a show.
Well, you do your research.
I'm researching it right now.
Do your research, Dylan. Okay, so during a second search of the home, police unearthed some strange stuff on Dirk's computer. 2 other murders had been committed in nearby towns, and he had downloaded the articles from the local newspapers and saved them on his desktop.
Maybe it's just interesting local news.
One of the women, an elderly woman, had been beaten and attacked by a pond, nearly the same as his wife.
The pond attacked her?
Yes.
Ponds are dangerous.
She was in proximity to the pond when she was attacked, Dylan.
I gotcha.
Thanks. You can do a better fucking job. Get over here and sit in the
No,
seat.
I just thought that was a good one.
Now, law enforcement, you're really aggravating me right now. Can we get through this without you making dumb jokes and getting sidebarred?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I'm going to punish you.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I'll make daddy pay.
Okay. Law enforcement decided to, I loved how you almost got a look of fear in your eye, like, oh God, she's going to fucking throw something at me.
Yeah, I thought I was in trouble.
Law enforcement decided to push the evidence to a grand jury. Now, involving the grand jury opened up access to more records and access subpoenability rather than just a regular police investigation. Police didn't rush to lock up Dirk Greineder because he was not a threat to the community. So they were like, okay, if we don't immediately arrest him, he's probably not going to go out and kill other people, right? This was an isolated homicide.
Right, and I think that's a safe assumption on the policeman's part.
Now, the theory that police came up with was that Dirk hit his wife on the head first, which didn't work like he'd planned it, because he thought if he just hit her in the head with the hammer, that would do the trick.
Well, yeah, people think it's like a movie, but that's not how it works.
So he had to cut her throat. Then once she was on the ground, he stabbed her 10 times, including 2 in the throat. And the motive, either he hated her or simply wanted out of the marriage. I mean, this was a person he had lived with for 30 years, and he thought he would get away with it.
So he kills her in a damn park? In public, basically?
Yeah. About 10 days after May's murder, Norfolk County prosecutors convened a grand jury to hear evidence that Dirk had murdered his wife. When police searched Greineder's computer and financial records, they learned that he was not the upstanding physician and family man he appeared to be. The doctor had a secret life, Dylan.
Oh, my God.
Filled with pornography and prostitutes.
He's into latex fetishes.
He might be. Not only was there pornography downloaded on his computer, but he'd been using email to make arrangements with sex workers. There was also erotic short stories featuring themes of bondage on his computer. I mean, he had a hobby. He liked writing erotic short stories.
Whoa, it was his original creation?
Yeah.
Ooh.
One of the characters prominently featured in these short stories was named Thomas Young. Now, Young happened to be the name of Dirk's college roommate, and he hadn't seen this guy in like 30-some odd years. Dirk was also using the Young name in several sex chat rooms. He also had an American Express corporate card in Thomas Young's name that he had been using to pay for hotel rooms and trysts with sex workers. He also used the card to sign up for internet porn sites. Police found some kind of correspondence with a woman online. It appeared that Dirk was having a relationship with this woman. After May's murder, they discovered he had sent an email to this person saying he needed space for a while because something had come up. Now, this woman's name was also featured in some of the erotic stories he had written.
Really?
Yes.
Damn, old Dirk's a damn freak, Katie.
Days before May's murder, Thomas Young had messaged several women for sex online. On the day following May's murder, when his family had arrived in town, it was on November 1st, around 10:37 a.m., Thomas Young had phoned one of his regular sex workers to meet, but she had not answered the phone.
What the hell?
So right after his wife's murdered, he's trying to get his dick sucked, bro.
This dude is a dumbass.
Yeah.
And he's an asshole.
Yeah.
And he should have just left her alone.
And I have to say, he's German. He looks just like the doctor, I think, from the Human Centipede.
No way.
The crazy, German doctor who creates the centipede.
Yeah.
That's what the dude looks like to me.
What's his last name?
I'm not telling you.
Dirk.
Now, at one point during the investigation, police thought Greineder might run, so they put a bird dog on his tail, but he didn't go anywhere. Law enforcement got the idea that Burke wasn't running because, like with May's murder, he thought he was smarter than everybody else and that he was somehow going to get away with this.
That's what happens.
He's way too cocky to run. Finally, after a 4-month investigation, Dirk Greineder was arrested on February 29th of 2000 at his Brookline office. The following day, he was arraigned on first-degree murder charges. He would plead not guilty to those charges. And on May 23rd of 2001, the trial of Dr. Dirk Greineder commenced. Knowing the prosecution planned to muddy the waters by throwing out Dirk's obsession with pornography and prostitutes, the defense went to bat in opening statements, telling the jury that his sex life, infidelity, and adultery was not on trial, that Dirk was on trial for murder. Dirk's watching of pornography had nothing to do with his wife's death. As a matter of fact, the defense claimed Dirk had no motive at all and did not kill his wife.
Oh my God, he looks just like that doctor, bro.
I know!
What the hell?
I told you. He's like the Human Centipede guy.
He totally looks like he just got done sewing people's together by their assholes to mouth.
Well, see, that's probably what he really wanted to do. But then he just became an allergist instead.
Oh, yeah, because that's a good second place to that. Well, if I can't do my love.
He was like, well, if I can't connect your intestinal tract, then I'm going to cure pollen issues for you.
Yeah.
Here's a little hay fever. Okay, 473 exhibits of evidence would be shown to the jury, including the crime scene photos, the murder weapons, Greineder's bloody clothing, and his clean hands, along with the DNA results.
400 and some exhibits?
Yeah.
That's a lot.
The Greineder children fully supported their father, denying he had anything to do with their mother's death. Throughout the trial, they sat behind him as a show of unity.
Well, it must be tough. I mean, I get that with the children, unless you have like explicit evidence or you had some type of suspicions of your own, you're not going to believe that your dad killed your mom, right? Your brain's not going to allow you to believe that in most cases.
I guess they didn't grow up in my household because I would have believed it.
Well, because your dad kept calling the house and be like, I'm going to kill your mom.
Yeah. So the DNA evidence was damning. On the left glove, Dirk's DNA matched 7 of 9 test points. May had been the primary source for DNA on the knife, but Dirk's DNA could not be ruled out as a second source. His DNA matched 4 of 9 markers. The secondary source was male, also.
Really?
Now, Dirk's also matched 8 of 13 markers on the right glove, his DNA. May's blood was on the shirt, the leash, and the backpack he was wearing at the crime scene. The fingernail clippings he'd given at the police station had no DNA from May. But that, the prosecution stated, was because he had worn the gloves to commit the murder, explaining how Dirk had bloodstains up his arms and wrists, but clean hands, because he was wearing gloves.
Ah, yes. Wow, these cops are not playing around.
Ilsa, May's sister, testified about the marriage between Dirk and May. She said it was different from her own because May was codependent. May didn't do anything without her husband, including simple tasks like buying a wastebasket. This painted a picture that Dirk had been a controlling husband. And though Dirk was a physician, May was always borrowing money from her sister for things like airfare travel when her mother was sick. She borrowed money for the facelift she had and for cars and things for the children, suggesting that Dirk had also been pretty financially controlling or possibly in like massive debt.
Yeah, it sounds like something's going on.
Ilsa was not allowed to tell the jurors that she had to pick up her sister's ashes and pay $2,500 to the mortuary because neither Dirk nor the kids had done so.
Her ashes were still at the mortuary.
Yeah. So the sister had to go pick the ashes up and pay the $2,500 for the cremation. Because her husband and the kids didn't do it.
It's like they don't. They're supporting their dad. Like I said, I get that. You don't want to believe that. Your brain won't process that. But it's like, do you even care that your mom's killed? Like, seriously. Because it doesn't seem like they're more concerned about their dad being accused of it.
When I worked in the mortuary, we had quite a few families that did not pick up the ashes. And these ashes, they can sit for so long, and then you have to send like a certified letter and state like if you don't pick them up in a certain amount of time, we will scatter them.
Don't you have to run a public in the newspaper?
No, you send them a certified letter. So, but this is like a process that takes like a year or more, right? So you have some time. And I understand that some families, it is very difficult for them to come pick the ashes up, but they could send someone. And the fact that they just totally didn't pick them up, didn't pay the bill, it speaks volumes to me. So Ilsa, the sister, took the ashes and put them in the family plot, which happened to be in Queens, New York.
I agree. I think it speaks volumes.
Footprint impressions at the crime scene in the dirt matched the Reebok sneakers Dirk was wearing, but there was no other shoe print visible on this dirt trail, on this path. But he had a very prominent... There was a design on the bottom of these Reeboks that was in the dirt. So if someone else had killed her, where would their footprints be?
That's a good point.
The prosecution showed that May's term paper on asthma was found on Dirk's computer, which they said could prove possibly that she had discovered the pornography on his computer because he had a lot of it.
Oh, and that could be another motive?
Yeah, I mean, there was no definitive proof of this, but it was still alluded to at trial. A compliance manager for Yahoo testified that a Thomas Young had set up an email account using the screen name Casual Guy 2000.
That's a great name.
Ultimate Live, a Florida-based pornography company, said Thomas Young had purchased a subscription on October 24th, 1999, about a week before his wife was killed. And his user ID, Dylan, can you guess what it was?
Wife Killer 2000.
Pussy Rider.
Pussy Rider?
Pussy Rider.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that real?
Yes. Rider with a Y.
Of course it has a Y.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
He ain't the Night Rider. He's the Pussy Rider.
Dirk's a dickhead.
He closed the account on November 10th. On October 24th of 1999, Thomas Young also joined a site called People to People using an American Express card. He indicated that he was looking to meet women between the ages of 35 to 60 who were slim to a few pounds overweight and lived within 30 miles of Boston.
Yeah, you might as well make cheating on your wife convenient. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, you don't want to have like a long-term, long-distance cheating. I mean, that's going to cost money and there's travel involved and it just seems like a lot. Now, on October 25th, so again, like 6 days before his wife is murdered, Dirk communicated with a woman named Catherine Irwin using the Casual Guy 2000 screen name. Another woman named Joanne Nichols had received a message saying he was interested in casual sex but no relationship, and she had not written him back. Another man named Harry Page testified that he had met Casual Guy 2000 online and that they had exchanged nude photos. Page had sent photos of his wife, and Dirk, in return, sent photos of himself. And the three were trying to arrange a meetup for group sex, but it hadn't happened yet.
Wow. He really is Casual Guy 2000.
Here's a message that was sent by Dirk. Quote, "Loved your pics. Looks like you're into some bondage and domination too. I have some interest and experience with this, though I have given up most of my toys. Maybe you still have some. But mostly I like the images, and I'm sure that I will love to play with you."
Okay. That's not creepy at all.
A Massachusetts state crime scene investigator testified the blood on Dirk's shoe was from a splatter type of impact. The pattern was if someone had stood only inches away from a person who was being bludgeoned with a hammer.
It's high velocity impact.
I'm like, who is this guy, Dexter, to know all that?
Well, you can. Well, yeah, if you get the drip, it's going to be like circular. But like if you
Baby,
get the...
I know what
it's going to be oblong.
It's oblong?
Yeah.
Is that what it's going to be like?
Yeah, it's a high velocity blood spatter impact.
The autopsy revealed that May had 7 bruises on her legs. Some were old and some were new. She had 2 wounds to the head, 2 stab wounds to the neck, and multiple other stab wounds. There were actually about 8 kind of in her like torso area. One wound to the neck was 5.5 by 2.5 inches deep.
Jesus.
It actually was so deep it cut the 5th cervical vertebrae.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's like damn near like cut half her head off.
Yeah, it's
My
pretty
God.
brutal.
What is this piece of shit, dude? Like just
And
let
especially if this is a small, like 4-inch bladed knife.
Yeah.
Right?
Like how do you even get that far in there?
I don't know.
It's like just divorce her. Tell her you don't love her anymore. If you're in this you've been 3 years without being intimate, I mean that says something about your relationship, right? It's obviously not great, I would think. And you're into all trying to holler at all these other people, group sex, with men and women. You want to tie people up and shit, and spank them on their bottoms.
I don't have any toys, but maybe you have some. I'm like, what does he have? Like a racetrack?
But like I got a super soaker.
I have a slip and slide, Dylan.
I'll fill it up with bourbon.
I bet you
And
do.
I'm gonna shoot it in my mouth.
So, what is wrong with
I
you?
can't breathe, but I'm still trying to keep the energy up.
Okay, in the process of the knife going inward, it cut the main draining veins of the brain, the jugular veins, and the main draining veins of the face. It went into to the thyroid cartilage.
Jesus.
Yeah. And I don't even know what that means, but it sounds terrible.
This is brutal.
There were only about 4 teaspoons of blood going through May's heart. She was dead or in a state of shock, showing the stabs to her chest were done as she was already dead, most likely. Now, the blow to the back of May's head could have been made by a 2-pound drilling hammer. May had no defensive wounds on her hands, which showed someone had attacked her by surprise. It was determined the heavy-duty 1-gallon Ziploc freezer bag recovered near May's body was from a box that came from her home. During trial, it surfaced that Dirk made May learn to speak German and cook German cuisine before she was allowed to marry him. So we're going back to this idea that he was kind of controlling.
Yeah.
Right? Instead of American dolls, Dirk refused to let his children play with them and insisted that they play with wooden German dolls instead. Now, that doesn't sound very fun. I don't want to play with your fucking wood doll.
Nye.
Yeah. Now, get this. A photo of the family patriarch, Dirk, dressed in a Nazi uniform, hung in the family's living room.
How did I know this was going to happen? Because he's like way too into German.
Dr. Greineder also had a German copy of Mein Kampf on the bookshelf at home. And in case you're not familiar, that's Hitler's autobiography, right? / manifesto.
Have you ever read it?
/ bullshit.
Did you read it?
Why would I read that?
I don't know.
No, I don't speak German.
Oh, surely you get it translated.
You can?
And
You
dumbass.
can get it in Cliff Notes?
Yeah.
Cliff Notes?
They'd be like, look, he was bad, and then he did some fucked up shit. The end.
Yeah, I don't need to read it.
Man, I bet Germany is like, man, fucking Hitler, dude. He like really like made us look bad.
Probably.
Yeah. So many German citizens died after the war.
Except Dr. Greineder was like very proud of his Nazi heritage.
Because
Let's see. Can we continue here?
the Allies
You can tell me this later.
made him pay.
The prosecutor wanted to paint a full picture of Dirk and how his German culture was like a constant in the family home. How he seemed to like control them by making them embrace this culture.
It's
that
weird.
They don't live in this country. Yeah.
And he kept bratwurst in his pocket, which I find strange.
Are you done?
Yeah.
On June 29th of 2001, the jury reached a decision. Dr. Greineder was found guilty of murder in the first degree. He was given a life sentence. Due to the conviction, Dirk was disinherited from his wife's will, though he had been the sole heir. He began selling off her personal belongings immediately after this. In September, he transferred ownership of the family home, which was valued at $400,000, to Corey Smaller, who was the boyfriend of his daughter, Britt. And he, I believe, sold it for like $1 or something to this guy.
Oh, no shit.
But I'm pretty sure that Britt was going to marry him, so it was like he was giving them the house.
Oh, he wasn't just trying to hide the asset. He was just trying to give it to his daughter.
I guess.
Yeah, but he's a dick.
Ilsa Stark, May's sister, took the issue to court, asking a judge to remove Dirk as executor of May's will. Now, before the hearing in November, Dirk removed himself. He just went ahead and did it. Despite the evidence, the 3 Greineder children have stood by their father, believing he is innocent. And, of course, he's tried to file appeals and is denied every time.
Yeah, he's made all kinds of claims about the judge and the unfair trial and all this crap. So, I mean...
If you would like to know more about this case, my main resource today is a book by Linda Rosenkrantz called Murder at Morse's Pond, A Scheming Husband and an Unsuspecting Wife. It was also a Dateline case.
So what's more likely? Either their father killed their mother, and there seems to be some evidence that supports that, right?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
some random person attacked their mom out of nowhere and ran away and nobody saw anything. Which one seems more likely?
I don't know, because the children, like one of them testified that it just was absolutely out of the question that either of her parents had ever had an extramarital affair because they had such a good marriage.
There's evidence of him
I
arranging
just think
threesomes.
they were so in denial.
It's sad, and I don't hold that against him. Like I said, it would be a tough situation to be in. You lost your mother. Your father's been accused of killing your mother. I mean, it's a terrible situation for any family or kids to be in. But, I mean, come on. Do you need a bright red arrow flashing at your dad? I mean, I would be like, you know what, Dad? I think you fucking did this, bro.
Have you ever noticed when we talk about true crime that some of the quote unquote like smartest people, you know, I'm air quoting that, end up being the dumbest people when it comes to committing crimes? I mean, he's a doctor. He's very intelligent. You'd think he would be a little smarter about hiding evidence and planning this, but he's a fucking idiot.
Well, I think what happens is these people who are intelligent, they think they're smarter than everybody in the room, and they don't. I think that's definitely the case with the Kohlberger asshole out there.
Oh yeah.
They just really don't take the time to really nail down this, solid plan, because they think they can roll with anything that happens.
But then there's like some old like redneck guy out in the swamp or something.
Yeah.
And they're like, we know you killed somebody, and he's like, prove it. And he's just like standing there like with his, moonshine and his cigarette, and then they can never find the body.
Yeah, it's been alligator shit years ago,
but
bro.
then you've got this doctor, all the education in the world, commits like the dumbest possible crime.
If this was actually his plan to kill her at the park and try to make it look like a random stranger did it, that's a dumb fucking plan.
It's really stupid.
I mean, it's
it
just the
makes
stupidest
no
plan.
They should have just gotten the divorce.
You would have been better off, as far as dumbass murder plans go, of staging a burglary or a home invasion. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Well, I mean...
Well, Dylan, I think there's like 1,000 other ways that this could have worked out. But the most simple, in my mind, is just get the divorce.
Well,
or just continue being married to your wife and just say, look, I like hoes.
Let me tie you up.
I'm trying to get some action.
I want some boats and hoes up in my life.
Maybe we need an open marriage, right? Maybe she was into it. Maybe she wanted to get herself a hot, sweaty, sexy sailor or something.
A very long-winded sailor.
Maybe she was trying to go down to like Nantucket and meet a sailor.
Maybe she's into seamen.
I'm just saying,
Yes.
Maybe he should have just, been honest with his wife.
Look, don't kill it.
All this.
We're not advocating for any type of murder, even if you come up with a solid plan. Don't kill anybody. Just get the divorce. Just leave. It's not worth it. And it never fucking works.
No, you're probably going to get caught.
You're going to get caught. You're going to look like a dumbass.
You're going to go to prison. You're going to get beaten up. You're going to have to eat your fruit cocktail off the floor.
Yeah. Or out of a very, very gross bowl.
Yeah, the only place
somebody's
that
butthole is what I'm talking about.
The only place that you're ever gonna get wine is gonna be toilet wine that you make in your cell, right?
Yes, Pruno.
Yeah, see, exactly.
Or you could jank. You could huff your methane off of your shit and urine.
That sounds really sad.
Yeah, well, it makes you high, I guess. Or somebody could sell you to somebody else for a pack of Cools, bro.
Right? And at the end of the day, you're still looking like the fucking doctor from the Human Centipede. So, was it really worth it, bro?
I would be like,
plus,
look.
What a fucking dork. Wearing this yellow and white windbreaker and black pants and his white Reebok tennis shoes. Trying to act like he's cool or something. And I'm like, you fucking dumbass. You got all this money, you're a doctor, and these are the fucking white Reebok. Look at these shoes. That's the white Reeboks you're wearing.
What the fuck, dude?
Those are like horrible dad shoes from the 90s. I'm pretty sure my dad had those, and he wore them to cut the grass.
I would take exception if somebody traded me for a pack of cigarettes in prison, because I feel like I'm worth at least a carton.
I would be very upset if you wore these fucking white Reeboks.
Those look like they were yard shoes.
And then wear them with black pants and a yellow and white windbreaker? Like, what are you? Fashion victim?
Who even wears windbreakers besides security and police?
Men who look like the Human Centipede.
Do you know anybody that went out and bought a windbreaker?
I mean, dads. It's dad fashion.
I've never been that perturbed by the wind that I need a specific garment to stop the wind in its tracks. I think my dad has a
windbreaker along with these Reeboks.
Oh, my God.
Okay, let's wrap it up, Dylan.
Let's wrap it up. Nobody wants to hear this.
You're snotty.
I don't know.
You're talking crazy.
Okay, well, thank you, Heather, for that story. But I had to say, I knew he did it early on.
Yeah.
Because that story's stupid. Nobody believes that shit. Thank you for the story, though. I had not heard that one in particular. And I'm going to find that case where that woman left mad and really did get killed by somebody else, but they never believed the guy until the end.
Okay.
I'm going to figure it out.
You do that for us.
All right. We'd like to thank the listeners.
Yeah. Thank you for enduring this episode.
Yeah.
It's late getting out. Dylan's, I don't know what he's doing over there.
Might not.
Needs an allergist. And
Not that one.
clearly we are some type of way this evening, so we're going to just wrap it up now. If you have a case suggestion, you can always email mountainmurderspodcast@gmail.com. And if you're feeling really froggy, join us over at patreon.com/mountainmurderspodcast, where you can subscribe to our ad-free content, get bonus episodes, and all that jazz.
Enjoy the Discord fam.
Okay. Bye, Dylan.
Bye, Heather.